The greedy dog. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a dog named Bruno. He was brown, strong, and had a big nose. Bruno lived alone near a river, under a wooden bridge. Bruno loved food more than anything. He always wanted more food, even when he was not hungry. People in the village called him the greedy dog. When Bruno was a small puppy, he was kind and friendly. He shared food with other dogs. But later, he changed. He became selfish. He wanted all the food for himself. Bruno woke up early every morning. His stomach made a loud sound, growl, growl. He was always hungry. He walked through the village, sniffing here and there. He looked for food in dustbins. He sat near houses, waiting for someone to throw him a bone or some rice. Sometimes, kind people gave him bread or meat. But Bruno never said thank you. He just ate quickly and ran to find more. If another dog came near, Bruno barked loudly. He did not want to share. Go away, he barked. This food is mine. The other dogs were scared of Bruno. They stayed away from him. One day, Bruno saw a butcher cutting meat. The smell made his nose twitch. He sat near the shop and looked at the man with big, hungry eyes. The butcher threw a small piece of bone at Bruno. He caught it and ran. But as he ran, he saw another dog eating bread in the corner. I want that bread too, Bruno said. He dropped his bone and ran to steal the bread. The other dog barked and ran away. Bruno grabbed the bread. Now he had a bone and bread. He was happy. I am the smartest dog, he said. But was he really happy? He had food, but no friends. He always ate alone. He never played with other dogs. He only thought about food. Bruno was very happy that day. He had a big bone in his mouth. It was juicy and tasty. He also had a piece of bread hidden under his paw. I am the luckiest dog, Bruno thought. I have a bone and bread. No other dog is smarter than me. He walked to the river to eat in peace. The river was wide and calm. Birds flew in the sky. Fish jumped in the water. Bruno sat near the wooden bridge and looked at the shiny water. He held the bone tightly in his mouth. As he looked into the water, he saw something strange. He saw another dog in the river. That dog also had a bone in its mouth. Bruno was surprised. Who is that dog? He thought. Why does he have a bone too? That bone looks bigger than mine. Bruno did not know it was not a real dog. It was just his reflection in the water. But greedy Bruno did not understand. He thought the reflection was another real dog with another real bone. I want that bone too, Bruno said. He jumped into the river with a loud splash. But as soon as he opened his mouth to grab the other bone, his own bone fell into the water. Plop! The bone sank to the bottom of the river. Bruno looked around. There was no other dog. There was no other bone. He was wet. He was cold. And now, he was hungry again. Oh no! Bruno cried. My bone is gone. I lost it because I was too greedy. He came out of the river, shaking his wet fur. He sat on the ground and looked sad. He had nothing now. No bone. No bread. Only an empty stomach. Bruno felt sorry. He looked at the river and whispered, if only I was happy with what I had. I should not have wanted more. But the greedy dog still had many lessons to learn. After Bruno lost his bone in the river, he walked back to the village. He was sad, cold, and still hungry. His stomach made loud sounds again. Grr! He sniffed around and looked for more food. He went near the bakery. The smell of fresh bread made him feel better. He sat near the door and waited. The baker came out and saw Bruno. Oh no, not you again, the baker said. You always steal food. The baker picked up a stick and shouted, Go away, greedy dog. Bruno ran away. His tail was between his legs. Next, he went to the butcher's shop. The smell of meat was strong. Bruno licked his lips. The butcher saw him and said, I gave you food yesterday. You took the bone and ran. Today you get nothing. He threw a stone near Bruno's feet. Bruno got scared and ran again. Bruno went to the dustbin behind the tea shop. There was some rice, half a samosa, and a few potato peels. He jumped into the bin and started eating fast. But suddenly, another dog appeared. It was a small black dog named Baloo. Baloo said kindly, "Can I have some, please?" Bruno growled, "No. Go away. This is mine." "But there is enough for both of us," Baloo said. "I don't share." Bruno barked. He chased Baloo away and ate everything himself. After eating, Bruno walked to the park. He was full, but not happy. Children were playing. Dogs were running together. They were happy. They were friends. Bruno sat under a tree and watched. No one called him. No one wanted to play with him. "Why'd I always feel lonely?" he wondered. "I have food, but I have no friends." That night, Bruno lay near the river. He looked at the stars and closed his eyes. "I wish I was not so greedy," he whispered. "Maybe then, I would have a friend." The wind blew softly. The river made quiet sounds. Bruno fell asleep, dreaming of a better life. The next day, the sky looked dark. Big black clouds covered the sun. The wind was strong. Trees moved from side to side. Bruno opened his eyes. He was still lying near the river. He yawned and stretched. Boom! A loud sound came from the sky. It was thunder. Bruno's ears stood up. He looked at the clouds. "It looks like a storm is coming," Bruno said. "I need to find a dry place." He walked into the village. People were running to their homes. Shops were closing. The wind was blowing harder now. Bruno ran to the tea shop. But the owner closed the door. He went to the bakery. It was locked. He tried the school building. The gate was shut. No one wanted the greedy dog near them. Crash! Rain started to fall. Heavy, cold rain. Water splashed on the roads. Bruno ran to a small tree and sat under it. But it did not help. He was wet and shaking. Then, he saw a small dog house near the corner of the park. It was warm and dry inside. Bruno ran to the dog house. But when he reached it, he heard a soft voice, "Who's there?" It was Baloo, the small black dog Bruno chased away yesterday. Bruno stopped. He remembered how rude he had been. I am sorry," Bruno said. "Can I stay here for a while? I am cold and wet." Baloo looked at Bruno for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "Yes, come in. There's space for both of us." Bruno was surprised. "You still let me in after what I did?" Baloo said, "Yes. Everyone needs help sometimes." Bruno went inside. It was warm and dry. The two dogs sat close together as the rain fell outside. For the first time in many days, Bruno felt something warm inside his heart. "Thank you, Baloo," he said. "Friends help friends," Baloo replied. Bruno closed his eyes. Maybe sharing was not so bad after all. The rain poured all night. The wind howled like a wolf. But inside the small dog house, Bruno and Baloo were warm and safe. Bruno could not sleep. He kept thinking about Baloo. "He gave me a dry place," Bruno thought. "He forgave me, even after I was rude. Why?" In the morning, the rain stopped. The sky became clear again. Birds sang softly, and the sun came out. Baloo woke up and stretched. "Good morning, Bruno," he said kindly. "Good morning," Bruno replied. He paused. "Baloo, why did you help me yesterday?" "I don't deserve it." Baloo smiled. "Because I know what it feels like to be alone. I was once a greedy dog too." "You were?" Bruno asked. "Yes," Baloo said. "But then, I met an old dog who taught me to share. I became happier. I made friends. Life is better when we are kind." Bruno listened carefully. His ears stood up. His heart felt soft. "Baloo," he said slowly, "can we be friends?" Baloo smiled wide. "Of course." Bruno wagged his tail. It had been a long time since he had a friend. The two dogs walked together through the wet village streets. They looked for food together. Bruno didn't growl this time. He let Baloo eat first. When they found a piece of chapati, Bruno pushed half toward Baloo and said, "Let's share." Baloo nodded. "Now you understand." They ate together, happy and calm. Children in the park saw them and said, "Look. Bruno is not greedy anymore." A little girl gave them both biscuits. Bruno licked her hand and wagged his tail again. Day by day, Bruno changed. He learned how to wait, how to share, and how to be kind. He played with other dogs. He sat quietly near houses without barking. The people started to like him again. And best of all, Bruno was never alone anymore. He had Baloo by his side. "Hello, little one," Baloo said gently. "What's wrong?" The puppy looked up with big, scared eyes. "I'm lost," he whispered. "I can't find my mother." Bruno sat down beside him. "What's your name?" "Chiku," the puppy said, sniffling. "Don't worry, Chiku," Bruno said kindly. "We'll help you find your mother." "But I'm hungry too," Chiku said. "I haven't eaten all day." Bruno looked around. A kind fruit seller nearby was packing up. Bruno went near him and wagged his tail. The man smiled. "Hello, Bruno. You've been a good dog these days. Here, take this banana." Bruno carried the banana back to Chiku. He gave it to the puppy and said, "Eat. We'll look for your mother after." Chiku smiled and wagged his little tail. After eating, the three dogs walked through the village together. They asked other animals, "Have you seen a dog looking for her puppy?" A cow said, "Yes. A mother dog was crying near the river this morning." They ran toward the river. Soon, they saw a black dog with white paws. She was looking around, calling, "Chiku. Chiku. Mama." Chiku cried. The mother turned and saw him. She ran and licked him all over. "My baby. I thought I lost you." Bruno and Baloo smiled. It was a happy moment. "Thank you," the mother said to Bruno. "You helped my child." Bruno said, "We are friends now. Friends help each other." Chiku hugged Bruno's leg. "You were the best dog." Bruno's heart felt full, not with food, but with happiness. A few days later, something special happened in the village. There was a festival. The streets were full of colors, music, and happy people. There were balloons, lights, and loud drums. Every house was cooking tasty food, rice, sweets, fried snacks, and spicy vegetables. Bruno, Baloo, and Chiku walked through the streets. The smells made their noses wiggle with joy. "It smells so good," Chiku said. Bruno smiled. "Yes. But let's wait. People are busy. We can watch for now." In the past, Bruno would have jumped into someone's kitchen and stolen food. But now, he had changed. He was patient and kind. Near the village temple, a big sign said, "Free food for all, festival feast." There were long tables with food for everyone, children, old people, and even animals. A kind lady saw the three dogs and said, "Come here, friends. You must be hungry." She gave them bowls of rice and milk. Another man gave them laddus, sweet balls. Chiku licked his bowl happily. Bruno looked around. Many other dogs and cats were there too. Some looked weak and scared. Bruno stood up. He pushed his bowl toward a shy dog sitting alone. "Come, eat," Bruno said. "There's enough for all." The shy dog smiled and joined the others. Baloo said, "I'm proud of you, Bruno." Bruno wagged his tail. "It feels better to share. My heart is full." That evening, the dogs played together. They ran in the field, chased butterflies, and barked at the stars. Bruno lay on the grass, full of food and joy. Chiku curled up beside him. Baloo sat close, watching the moon. Bruno said, "This is the best day of my life." And he meant it. One sunny morning, Bruno, Baloo, and Chiku were playing near the river. They chased leaves and splashed in the water. Suddenly, they heard a noise, clank clank clank. Bruno turned. A man was walking toward them with a big cart. The cart was full of bones, bread, and meat. "Look," Chiku said. "So much food." The man stopped under a tree. He placed the food on a table. Free food for animals, the man said. It's a gift from the kind village head. The smell was too good. Bruno's mouth watered. He walked forward. But then, the man said something else, one animal at a time. No pushing. No fighting. Bruno stopped. A long line of animals had formed, dogs, cats, goats, and even a monkey. Baloo said, "We must wait for our turn." Chiku nodded, "Yes, let's follow the rules." Bruno stood in the line. But the food smelled so good. His tummy rumbled. He looked at the front. The meat pieces were large and juicy. His old greedy thoughts returned. If I go quickly, I can take the biggest bone. No one will know. He took a step out of the line. But then he looked at Chiku. The little puppy was smiling and waiting patiently. He looked at Baloo, calm and still. Bruno closed his eyes. No, he said to himself. Not today. I am not that dog anymore. He stepped back in line. When their turn came, the man gave each of them a tasty piece. Bruno got a thick bone with meat. He smiled. Thank you. Later, while eating, he saw a skinny dog behind the trees. It looked too scared to come near. Bruno walked up and said, "Come. You don't have to be afraid. There's food for everyone." He broke his bone into two and gave half to the skinny dog. "Why are you sharing?" the dog asked. "Because I used to be greedy," Bruno said, "and it made me lonely. Now I'm kind, and I have friends." The dog smiled and joined them. One quiet afternoon, Bruno, Baloo, and Chiku were resting in the shade of a tree near the river. The wind was cool, and the sound of birds filled the air. Suddenly, Bruno felt something strange in his back leg. A small pain. It was not new. He had felt it before, but now it was stronger. "Ow," Bruno said softly. Baloo looked up. "What happened?" "My leg, it hurts," Bruno said. Baloo came closer and looked at Bruno's leg. "Oh no," he said. "You have a scar here. It looks like an old wound." Bruno remembered. "I got that scar a long time ago, when I fought another dog for a bone. I never let it heal. I was always too busy chasing food. Now it looks worse," Baloo said. "You need help." They decided to take Bruno to the village vet, an old, kind man who cared for animals. When they reached the vet's house, Bruno was scared. "What if it hurts?" he asked. Baloo said gently, "You'll be okay. You're not alone. We're here." The vet cleaned the wound. Bruno whimpered a little, but he didn't run away. "You're a strong dog," the vet said. "But you must rest. No running for a few days." Bruno nodded. The next few days were hard for him. He could not run or play. But something wonderful happened. His friends stayed with him. Chiku brought him food every morning. Baloo sat beside him every evening and told funny stories. Other dogs from the village came to visit. Some brought bones, some brought biscuits. Bruno was surprised. "Why are you all being so nice to me?" "Because you changed," said one dog. "You used to be greedy, but now you are kind." Bruno felt tears in his eyes. Not from pain, but from love. He realized something important. Being kind makes others kind to you. He looked at the sky and smiled. His body was healing, but more than that, his heart had healed too. Many weeks passed. Bruno's leg got better. He could walk, run, and play again. But something inside him had changed forever. He was no longer the greedy dog who wanted everything for himself. Now, Bruno was the kind dog everyone loved. One morning, Bruno woke up to birds singing and the smell of fresh flowers in the air. It was a new day. Chiku ran up and said, "Bruno, come quickly." Bruno followed him to the park, where many animals had gathered. There were dogs, cats, cows, goats, and even a few children. In the middle stood the village head, holding a paper in his hand. He smiled and said, "Today, we honor a very special dog. He used to be greedy and alone. But now, he is kind, helpful, and a true friend to all." Everyone looked at Bruno. "It's you, Bruno," Baloo said with a big grin. The village head gave Bruno a shiny ribbon with a golden tag that read, "Friend of all, the dog with the big heart." Bruno felt shy, but also very proud. He looked at Baloo, Chiku, and the others. "Thank you," he said. "You helped me change. I used to think food was everything. But now I know, kindness, love, and friends are more important." Everyone clapped and cheered. From that day on, Bruno had a new life. He helped lost animals. He shared food with the hungry. He played gently with puppies. He taught young dogs to be kind, just like Baloo once taught him. And whenever someone asked, "Who is Bruno?" the answer was always the same: "He is the kindest dog in the village." Bruno never forgot the old days. He never forgot the river, the reflection, the pain, or the cold nights. But now, he used his story to teach others: greed makes you lonely. Kindness makes you loved.